Pura vida. This is what the people say in Costa Rica to wish the best for your life. Yes, in this episode of Chocozone, we are in Costa Rica, a wonderful place where the cocoa market is growing. The farmers are starting to make chocolate with a part of their production, where the chocolate makers are always a bigger community, and where bean to bar is a win-win card for most of the players of the chocolate market. This time we are with Moises and Catalina, founders of Catica Chocolate.
Hello, guys, and welcome back in Chocozone podcast. This time we are in Costa Rica, and Costa Rica is a country very important for cocoa. And today we can talk with people that know very well the cocoa and that they started to make a very good chocolate. So here we are with Catalina, Valerio, and Moses Gomez Miranda. Hello, how are you?
Very good. Nice to hear from you, and hope everything is well in Italy.
Yes, it is. And you are the owner and founders of Catica Chocolate, and this is important to say, the brand of your company.
Yes, we founded this company about 4 years ago with my wife Catalina, as you know her already, and my sister-in-law Eugenia. So the three of us worked together. We decided to start the chocolate making because we also are cocoa producers here in Costa Rica.
Yeah. And normally we ask to our guests what they were doing before to start with chocolate. So it is your time to present yourself.
Okay, so ¿cuándo empezó esta
So
compañía?
we start when we moved to London. We live in London about 80 years old, 80 years
Ago.
ago, sorry. And I went to some chocolate schools, so I really like that. Before that, because my family had farms and everything, so we had some cattle, and we grow the cattle. But we thought the opportunity to have some cocoa farm and change these cattle that is not good for the environment, for some cocoa trees that is good for all the world and climate changing and everything. So that's why I really like chocolate and all about farms and cocoa trees.
And also Moises is dealing with the cocoa. You make something a little different.
Personal case, I lived in London for 11 years. I used to work as a project officer for the International Cocoa Organization, the ICCO. So I had the opportunity to learn more about cocoa, travel around the world, and I was lucky enough when I started at ICCO, which was in 2006, sorry. I was the only Latino. You know, Latinos bring blood and bring salsa and music, and I think the whole bean to bar movement, it started way before that, but I think since 2000 it started to really pick internationally. And because I was the only Latino at the time at the ICCO, my boss told me, hey, there's a market growing called the fine flavor cocoa market. So you're Latino, it comes from there, or it comes mainly from there, so you deal with it. So that's where I started to learn about more about fine cocoa. I had the opportunity as well to, share some information and work a little bit with Marty Christie, Monica Meschini, and Maricel Presillas from the International Chocolate Awards. So, through my work, I was able to meet a lot of real professionals, which have taught me a lot of interesting things about cacao and chocolate making. So
And and how did you enter the market of the chocolate makers? I mean, when and how you started to think about making your own chocolate?
well, after we got married, and we were one day sitting in cold London, very cold, and you know how London is, and we thought, her family has always been involved in agriculture. They have experience in cocoa production, well, in farming production, and I knew about cocoa as well. So we decided to team up and do the first step, which was started to produce cocoa beans, which again, I love it because I'm an agronomist, but it's a very difficult job. Growing cacao anywhere in the world, anyone that grows cacao, no matter which continent they're in, it's a very tough job. But once we realized how difficult it was and all the effort we were doing, we thought, well, there's no point in just selling or trying to sell good quality cocoa beans. We can start doing something. Here in Costa Rica, for many years now, there's been a movement of also the bean to bar chocolate makers. So I think we got here on the right moment. And again, we had the farm, we had the knowledge, the expertise. So we thought, let's give it a go. Let's turn.
Who is the cocoa farmer and who is the chocolate maker between the two of you? Who is the chocolate maker and who is the cocoa farmer?
Well,
I'm the chocolate maker and he's the farmer.
Okay.
Costa Rica is a wonderful place where the cocoa grow easily and where the quality is really at a high level. I know that you have a great experience, and I know that you have done for a lot of farmers also the consultant to develop the quality of the cocoa. Please tell us something about the different kind of cocoa that we could find in Costa Rica, and how you help the farmers to grant the best quality possible for the cocoa.
yes. Well, I think as a country, we had a very interesting history of cacao about 30 or 40 years ago. But again, because of pests and diseases, particularly Monilia, the production in Costa Rica fell down a lot. Now, I always say in Costa Rica, we're well known for a foreigner, which is the coffee, because coffee is not from Latin America, coffee is from Africa. And there's been a lot of focus on coffee and not much on cocoa. About 15 years ago, the government really, and we also very lucky that in Costa Rica we have a research institute, which is for all of Latin America, called Catica. They developed resistant tolerant varieties. So again, the country has sort of revamped itself in terms of the cocoa sector. There's a lot of new farmers producing cocoa. I think what we're working on now as a country, what we're trying to do is identify the different flavor profiles, because I think we're very good producing cacao, but in the post-harvest, which is the fermentation and the drying, which is something that it's always been a necessity, but people really don't know it. So that's what we're working on now, to start to understand the cocoa beans that we have, the flavor profile that we have in the different regions, and start doing a sort of protocols for fermentation to try to highlight those very good flavor profiles that we have here in the country. But there's a lot of work being done. Again, Costa Rica, you find 3 cocoa producing regions. The Caribbean one, which is where we're based. Our cocoa farm is right next to a national park called Tortuguero National Park, which is very beautiful. I hope when the next time you guys come to Costa Rica, we'll take you there. There's a few mosquitoes here and there, but I'm sure we can do with a long sleeve T-shirt and a good hat. But most of the cocoa is produced. The majority of the cocoa in Costa Rica is produced in the Caribbean region, which again, it's growing again cocoa. The North region, which is I think where there's maybe the best quality of cacao beans, is also a very important one. And then the Pacific, the South Pacific, is also starting to produce. You have to remember that Costa Rica, even though we're a small country, but we have a lot of microclimates, different weathers, different climates, even though it's very tropical everywhere, but different types of soils, different rains, different altitudes. So I think all that has an influence in the cacao bean.
I always had a question about the Costa Rican bean. I remember when we started making our bean to bar chocolate class here, we used to buy a big variety of cocoa beans. Okay, and my feeling in that very moment was that the price of the Costa Rican cocoa bean, was more changeable than the others from South America, from Central America. Is there a particular reason why?
Yeah, it's a little bit true. I think there's 2 reasons because of that. One, because we are a very small volume producing country. We only produce 600 tons. So basically that's, very little. So there are variations in the offer of cacao that we have even locally. I think the other reason why there's a variation in price is, as I was saying, there's a lot of people doing very good things in terms of post-harvest, in terms of fermentation and drying. But sometimes there are, differences in flavors or the situation of weather. There are many factors that influence the flavor of cocoa beans, and I think that's where we need to, not be good, but be masters in the fermentation and drying process, to be able to not just maintain the price, but even aspire to a much better price of beans. Again, I think in terms of the genetics and what we have in the cocoa farms is very good quality. But I think we need to do a little bit of work on the post-harvest.
Is it Trinitario or also Criollo?
Yes.
Criollo, no?
No,
Yeah.
well, I think using names and terms now and when it comes to varieties is not very precise, because we know now that there are more than just 3 cocoa varieties. There are about 10, 11 different clusters, as they call it. There is, however, in the northern region of Costa Rica, there's a higher percentage of Trinitario-based sort of genetics. That's why I believe the flavor profile in the northern region is very good. In our cocoa farm, what we decided to do is have 3 different types of, I would call it cocoa blends. So we have the Cati ones, which are very good. We also have a blend of Trinitario cacao, which obviously for us is one of the best ones. And also we have another one, which is part of what they call the International Cocoa Selection Clones, which also have a very interesting flavor profile. Again, I think when it comes to nowadays, in terms of cocoa production, I think, and particularly those who are involved, those of us involved in the bean to bar or tree to bar, as we call ourselves, we know that genetics is important, but it's not really what only defines your flavor. I think the post-harvest is where you have differences, and I think we've seen that now because we have clients here. We sell obviously many different products, chocolate bars, but we have a lot of restaurants that are asking for specific flavor profiles, and that's because we're able to separate the varieties and do sometimes a mix of this one and that one to highlight flavor profiles. So I think that's where the sector is generally moving, not just Costa Rica, but I think worldwide.
And talking about the chocolate part of your company, okay, where the name comes from, I guess something connected with Catalina?
No, no,
No, okay.
they say that, but it is Ca is for cacao, and Tica is for Costa Rica. They call it Tica. So, and we normally try to hire more women
Yes.
than
In fact,
men.
in the
So,
chocolate factory, I come here once in a while because they let me, but they're all women. So
Better not go. Can you tell us more about where are you located, the region where you are, and just to make people understand, the location?
okay, we decide to make our chocolate factory near the volcano, the Boas volcano. Why? Because the climate. Because
weather.
with the weather, we have weather like you guys. is quite cold. Well, for Costa Rica, it's cold. Actually, it's like 12, 50 degrees every day normally, or even less. So for us, it's really cold, but it's very good for the chocolate. And we can really control the humidity inside here. That's why we have double or really high roofs.
yes.
And
Yeah.
and and because Costa Rica is too small, that help us that have the farm in Tortuguero come all the beans all the way to Poas, because the different the transport is around
1 hour, no, 2 hours.
2 hours, and we can have micro weathers in such a small time.
Country, yeah.
Yes,
Small
and
space. Yes. I think in altitude we're about 1,700 meters above sea level. So, and we're literally from the factory. There's a crater of the volcano. It's about 5 kilometers away. So.
Oh wow, it's kind of a risky chocolate.
Yes, a little bit, but no. We like to live on the edge. You know us Latinos.
Okay. Why you are quite a peculiar kind of company, okay? Because you are cocoa farmers, what you call tree to bar, okay? Is there a particular reason why you decided to start producing your chocolate instead of keeping on selling only the cocoa beans? It because I don't know, there are bigger margins, or because the new bean to bar movement inspired you to enter the business?
Because we had everything, the farm, the engineer, industry engineer, and my sister is good in numbers and selling. We have three important people in different areas. So we can divide all like a company, and we can try to find a product that we can have all the
Traceability, yeah.
and in the future I really want to have everyone to know this bar comes from actually this tree or this section of this tree. Say, okay, these beans went to the fermentation box, then went to this nursery, then came here, had this class of sugar, and actually we only make sugar and we make only with cocoa butter because we realize that people that have some allergies, like like me, I'm celiac and I have a lot of allergies with milk. We decide to go for those people that normally they don't have anything treat to eat.
A treat, yeah. Also, I think one of the reasons is Costa Rica, as you may well know, has a very large tourism industry. So we get a lot of tourists here in Costa Rica, which I think market-wise is a good start. It helps you, unlike other countries that do have tourism, but maybe not as much as Costa Rica. And also, I think one of the things we realize is, we're doing the whole effort in producing very good quality cocoa beans. And normally let's say even, and again, nothing against this model because it's the way it's been for many years, but it's usually the case where the developing country produces the raw material and then we ship it to either Europe or the United States or someone like that to make a wonderful, magnificent chocolate, which again, I'm not against that. I think I really like that. But I think nowadays we have the raw material, we have the expertise, the people, and I think also one of the things that we decided to make the next step is the fact that nowadays it's easier to access equipment for bean to bar, not the small type of equipment, which again it's not bad, but I think a little bit still bean to bar, still very artisan product, but on a bit of a larger scale that allows your business to be more profitable. I think one of the reasons why a lot of people, when they start making chocolate, they don't see the numbers is because they normally use very small equipment and they don't understand, the timings and, that the beans have to stay there for 48 hours and, you burn a lot of time. So again, we had the beans, we knew we had the quality of the cocoa beans, we have the people, the team of people to make the chocolate. And obviously, we have this amazing equipment that helps us a lot to be able to achieve all that. So I think, being able to join all those components, we said, why not? And I think as well, Costa Rica, even though we're starting to become a little bit more famous in terms of cacao and chocolate, we're not that very popular outside. You always hear Ecuador, you always hear Peru, the Dominican Republic, all these countries which, have a large tradition of fine cacao and good chocolate makers. Well, we want to be the first Costa Rican good chocolate makers known internationally.
Yeah, I hope so, and you must do it. But the truth is that the chocolate market has hard rules, where the big companies decide anything before the production of chocolate, and so the artisan of chocolate in Europe, in USA, the little bean to bar company has helped the farmers to how to get up, to develop themselves, to have an hope for the future. And now it is really so beautiful to see that also farmers or people like you that have the possibility to have the cocoa try to make your own chocolate.
we always have discussions because obviously you know that the bean to bar community here and everywhere is very close. So
Sure.
I always have this discussion with bean to bars producers, and I always tell them, look, we have the advantage that we see things from the farmer's point of view because we are producers of cocoa beans, but we also see the point of view of the chocolate maker or the bean to bar. So I think we're in an interesting position because we can balance both things. We know how difficult it is to produce a good lot of cocoa beans, well fermented, well dried. Sometimes, again, we're playing with nature. When it comes to agriculture, you're working with nature. So sometimes our cocoa beans get a bit too moldy. We have to get rid of those because, again, we have pretty good standards. But I think having that mix makes us at least understand the market a little bit better and understand the whole supply chain, which, as you know,
Yeah.
sometimes is
You,
not
you
always
are
the best. I think
you are really tree to bar.
Yeah, and there is also another advantage that for what I understood, the cocoa farmers, they don't like a chocolate maker that does have suggestion on about how to ferment the cocoa and things like that. They want to, okay, stay away. This is my business, my job, so you don't have to tell nothing about it. While you can, find the right way to make the chocolate you want, also changing or adjusting other kind of processes, other steps of the process.
And this question is, I think, for Catalina. How do you explain to your customers, to your dealer, the differences between the chocolate that they could find in the supermarket and the chocolate that they could find from you?
Different. We can try to explain the people that is so different when you have your own cocoa butter, you have your own beans, and you have your um, que como decir que todo es puro y que
Sí. So all the raw material comes directly from us. We don't buy lecithin, and again, nothing against lecithin, but we use all the raw materials that you eat in the chocolate are produced by us, except the sugar, of course, because
Yeah, it is a chocolate. How to say, made with your hand, and without the tricks, without any tricks.
every time we go to a fair or we go to an activity, it's interesting because the consumer in general doesn't even know how the cocoa bean is produced, how the cocoa tree is. So I think when you start explaining people that normally the stuff that you find in a supermarket has a lot of sugar content, a lot of powdered milk content, a lot of sometimes vegetable fat, and that you don't know where those cocoa beans are coming from. When you explain the consumer that our product, they can actually go and see the trees and understand the whole process, they definitely change their mindset because, again, people don't know how chocolate is produced, even on a mass level production. So when they understand how that works, I think they start changing their mentality and their acceptance to different.
I know that in Costa Rica there is a lot of compound, not real chocolate, and a lot of sweet compound. How do you educate your customer? It is difficult to explain them that a good chocolate is not only sweet, but it is also something different.
we explain a little bit with the difference because we have the farm and we have these special varieties of cocoa pods, and we have around 22 varieties.
Varieties.
So, and we try to make some blends. We are started to make blends with these. So normally, when they say I really like more chocolate, only chocolate flavor, we do one kind of varieties. When they say like, oh, I want more almond flavor or more
Base.
base, we normally do more like Caties or
Yeah, so I
sort
think
of.
when we do our public events and activities like that, we always do tastings. And I think one of the interesting things that people realize with chocolate is that a same chocolate, 70% produced with different varieties, will have a different flavor. And people just, they're only now starting to understand that cacao beans have a natural flavor, whether it's nuts, whether it's dried fruits, whether it's floral or fruity. So when we put in front of people 3 different bars and they try the flavors, and we say, listen, you're gonna feel, nutty or nut notes or floral notes or these things, and they actually understand it. They're like, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't know that this happened in chocolate. So I think that's the way in which it's a bit, and I think you've heard this before, and I think it's an old saying in bean to bar, but it's the same as wine. People know that the wine from a different region in Italy or here or there has a different flavor, and I think people are here starting to understand that. Hence why we already have certain clients, for instance, restaurants, that ask for a specific flavor note, because they do their desserts, they do their cakes, they do their brownies, their everything, but they want to have that flavor note. So I think by explaining people about flavor, we're actually, educating the consumer and also, improving our market.
Let's keep on talking about your double position, okay, farmer and the chocolate maker. Do you think that for the cocoa farmers, the bean to bar chocolate movement improved their, their margins, their will of keep on making cocoa beans and producing? It's some advantage that the movement brought to the cocoa farmers?
Yes, I think in my personal experience as a consultant here in Costa Rica, I think farmers are starting to understand that as a country, we're a very small country, so we cannot compete in terms of volume. So I think they're now starting to understand that quality is really our marketing tool. We don't have more land. We cannot invade a country to grow more cacao, so it's not going to happen. But I think now they're starting to understand that, and they understand now, or starting to understand, that they need many things, but one of them is infrastructure to be able to do this in a centralized manner, because before farmers were trying to do the fermentation and drying in their farms, but obviously the flavors were all different, and it wasn't a very sort of stable sort of flavor profile. Now they're starting to work together as cooperatives, associations, farmers organizations, groups, to start to do that post-harvest process and to do it a bit more centralized in order to be able to reach more interesting markets than just the local one. I think the aim of many farmers here, and they understand that if they do that process well, they can access a much better price in terms of the cocoa beans that they're currently getting here locally. So I think that's the part where they're starting to understand and make some improvements, as I said, in infrastructure and even in the technical knowledge, because the problem that we have here is a lot of the farmers are very old. They're very, old, elder people who remember how their grandfathers used to grow cacao, which was a very old way technique. So changing that mindset is very difficult in agriculture, but I think they're starting to see it now with the better prices that they're getting. So it's a tough work, but we're getting there.
Back to Catica chocolate. Which is your main market? Can you sell abroad or just locally? And in which way do you sell? Are you involved with dealers? You have exporters? Tell us something about it.
Well, we sell it only in Costa Rica right now, but in bars, the best one is the orange one.
Orange peel.
Orange peel one, but the product that we sell more actually is we call it cobertura. Coverture.
Okay.
So we do it in blocks, in 1 kilo or 500 grams.
Okay.
Actually, that's the main product that now we sell in.
And obviously, I think our aim has always been to export chocolate. I mean, from the very first day, we said, okay, let's learn how to do this. We have to improve. We have to develop our processes and, get them right to the point. And there's always room for improvement, but we've always looked at the international market. Now, as you and we all know, there was a thing called COVID, which
Yeah.
happened around the world, which I think limited the ability of many people to trade. So I think that left us a little bit, in the hanging there in terms of the trading. Obviously, at the moment, our main market is locally in Costa Rica. But again, we focus not just on producing the chocolate bar, but as Catalina said, we're producing the couverture. So we've looked into a lot of restaurants, hotels, bakery shops.
Even bonbons.
Okay, pralines. But how much chocolate you can produce per year right now?
Exactly, we're selling to a lot of chocolatiers, and they're very much liking the product again because of the flavor, because of the quality. So that's where we're currently looking in terms of market. Obviously, we're starting to touch test some markets outside, probably Europe, probably the Middle East, which is where we're knocking some doors, and it's looking very positive. So
Okay,
And
good.
actually, not only chocolate, we make a lot of nips
Okay.
and we make a lot of the liquor.
Okay. So overall, how much you can produce in tons? In metric tons?
Right now, we are processing almost 1 ton.
Per month. Okay. Okay, that's good. How important is technology in your process, and which process you think is the most important? I mean, between fermentation, conching, which is the part of the process that is the most important to give the best flavor to your chocolate?
dentro de todos los demás, ¿cuál es la que tú consideras que es el clave y cuál es el que le resalta más el sabor?
Okay, I think two well, actually three. The the toast,
The
the roasting is the beginning. Then the rumbo, the time of the rumbo and the size
of the
of
particles.
the particles is so important.
I see.
Actually, the timing, well, because we have the rumbo and we have the taurona, depends on
ball mill.
the ball mill, and depends of the percent. If it's 70 or if even we have 100. So if it's 100, the rumbo is amazing. I can say she is the winner.
Oh, she's a female, she's a girl. Rumbo is a girl.
Yeah, she's a girl. It's a
Yeah,
she.
in the chocolate factory in Catica, all the woman has the power.
all women. They are
all the power.
They are okay.
That's why it's Catica.
Look, one question. I always take you as an example, okay, when people ask me the difference between stone grinder and ball mills, okay? And when I normally say that it's difficult, okay, to tell it, because for me, the chocolate makers that are used to ball mill, they cannot have an idea about the stone grinders. Okay? So I always tell there is only one chocolate maker that I know that they have the experience of both. Okay? Stone grinder and ball mill. So up to you, which is the difference between the two technologies?
Okay. Well, one the difference between the rumbo and the ball mill, I think is time. Depends of the time that I have in the process. If I really am in a rush and I really need everything done, I will do rumbo and ball mill with if I have sugar. Definitely, if I only need 100%, I will just go with the rumbo.
And in the flavor? In the flavor, in the taste?
The flavor.
one of the things we notice is because we have different blends of cacao in the farm, we've noticed that particularly those with the Trinitario blend, when we use the ball mill, we tend to highlight certain notes a little bit more compared to the rumbo. But again, I think it's something we need to continuously try and be tasting and be doing in order to
develop. Yeah, yeah. So we have quite finished our podcast, our episodes, and like always, here we are with the last question. How do you see your company in the 2030, and how do you see also Costa Rica bean to bar chocolate movement in the next 10 years? It is an opportunity also to develop other family farmers, other companies. There is a space, or how do you see it?
Okay. I think Catica Chocolates is gonna be like the base of a chocolatier. I hope that, because I really enjoy giving a chocolate to people that if you wanted to eat it all alone, just the chocolate, great. But give it opportunity to other people he wants like a chocolatier, that he wants a bonbon, or he wants something without all these vegetables, oil or milk or whatever, or he wants to add all these. I can give him this opportunity and he say, okay, this is Costa Rica chocolate.
I think as a country in general, there's definitely a lot of growth in the bean to bar movement. And again, because we're a small country, it's easy for the bean to bar chocolate makers to be in contact with farmers. I think farming wise, or in terms of production, the country is aiming at producing a lot more cacao than it was producing before. So I think that's very important. I think in terms of the industry, I think the only issue now is that a lot of people are afraid of doing the investment in the equipment. So I think one of the things that as a company we see as a possible business area to develop is all those people that have farms or these associations that are starting to produce good quality beans. We can start producing a product for them so that they understand the potential they have. They can see what their product can become. And I think with time, they will eventually, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will start buying equipment and buying machines and start doing their own thing. But I think a lot of people are still a bit afraid of doing that step because obviously it involves investment. It involves a very beautiful wife like mine knowing how to make the good chocolate. So it involves a very big team of people doing this. And I think that's what we're also looking at. We know a lot of people here who have very good farms with very amazing cacao who have already approached us and asked us if we can make chocolate bars for them. So I think our next step is to also help others develop their potential, and eventually if they want to buy machines, go ahead, but at least they will have the option of some people who know how to make very good chocolate.
So great. I can say we have finished, and I can say pura vida. No?
Purísima vida.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. We hope to meet you in person very early again.
Yes.
We hope so.
No, we want to thank you very much because we wouldn't be where we are without you guys. I think FBM has been a great support for us. Like every chocolate bean to bar maker, you start with things and you have to adapt and you have issues, and I think you guys have been very, very good. So I think we have a lot of knowledge and a lot of capacity, but without you guys, we wouldn't have done this. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are proud of this.
We thank you. We thank you because we allowed us to develop our machine. Thank you very much.
Yes. Next meeting, we have to do it in Costa Rica, en la pura vida.
Yeah.
Sure.
Pura vida.
Thank you very much.
En español,
En español,
por favor.
Cierto, eso es cierto. Nos vemos.
Bueno,
Que le vaya bien.
Chao.
Cuídate.
Chao.
Bye.
Chao, chao.